You're listening to episode 77, Silver Bullet, directed by Daniel Adius. Is this Stephen King adaptation better than the book? Let's find out on this episode of Video Vila Podcast. So I will, in true fashion, although I did the intro, kick it off to Logan for the background of the book.
Well, yeah.
and the movie.
Yeah.
You did the combo.
Yeah, I did the book. So for this one, we're back on our Stephen King kick. We have tackled Silver Bullet, which is known as Cycle of the Werewolf. So that was the book that this movie is based on. Kind of loosely based on it. A lot of the storyline of the book isn't as heavy as what we kind of get into as far as the movie goes. So long story short, here's how the book came to be. Basically, when it comes to the book was written back in like 1983. It had a limited run that had a nice hardcover of it. Got pretty popular, but the initial plans of it wasn't for it to be a book. The initial plans was for it to actually be a calendar. And that's why I got the Stephen King calendar, because this was kind of the ideal what it was supposed to be. It was going to be a Stephen King calendar, still illustrated by Bernie Wrightson, and each month was going to be a separate kind of story that was going to fit within that image of the top part of the calendar. And then Bernie Wrightson was going to illustrate something to go along with that story. So Stephen King started writing the ideas of this because he wanted to have a story that went on once every single month because it was a yearly calendar. But when he started writing it, it turned and bloomed into this just much more of an in-depth storyline that could actually fit on the calendar. Mm-hmm. So he ended up actually scratching the calendar idea, and they just ended up doing a book, and then brought Bernie Wrightson back to actually do the book. And it was then later picked up by Dino De Laurentiis, as most of Stephen King's movies were picked up from. If you haven't seen our Firestarter episode, we go into a big depth, but Dino De Laurentiis was a huge Stephen King fan, and he was just grabbing up all kinds of whatever he can buy the rights to start turning it into a film that Stephen had put out at that point. And he was just like cranking them out in like the Carolinas because that's where he built the giant studio. Like we go in a little bit more in depth on the Firestarter, so I won't go through all that all over again. But yeah, he ends up buying the rights to the movie. The original production of the movie was going to have director Don Coscarelli actually doing the directing. But unfortunately, he had worked on the script. It didn't really turn out too great. I mean, he was working with Sergio Altieri. And De Laurentiis didn't really wasn't feeling the vibe, and so apparently Stephen King had visited the set that day or whatever, and he actually kind of came up with some notes. Was like, hey, how about we do this? And he gave the notes to Don, and Don was like, this is great, I like this. So then they submitted the notes to Dino De Laurentiis, and he was just not having it, and he was just like, all right, I don't like this. You know, this is not what I want. Now, as far as like what difference the story would have been compared to what we got, I don't know. So they ended up just Don just ended up leaving. I'm sorry, not Don. Sorry. Don ended up leaving after his kind of like spat with Dino De Laurentiis. So then Stephen King comes on to the film and it starts writing the script. That's when we got Daniel Adius, which this was his first directing debut as far as film goes. But he's like, there's so many shows out there. He's like a award-winning director when it comes to TV. So much stuff that he's directed on television. I mean, it's a laundry list of stuff. But it just got because Don Casarelli, he did the Phantasm franchise, which was very good, and he did the Beastmaster, which was very good. So it's kind of curious to see what he could have brought to the Silver Bullet film, because I do think he is a really fun director, and he does capture like eerie vibe really well. But yeah, so King ends up coming and writing the script. And starts taking over. And they, like I said, they shot in the Carolinas where all these Dino De Laurentiis movies were being pumped out of at the time. It's fun because we also get, as far as like special effects go, we get Carlo Rambaldi, which is famous special effects artist. He actually comes on to the project to work on the werewolf creature. They were going to get Stan Winston, but he actually ended up turning it down. And Carlo Rambaldi, unfortunately, when it comes to like this movie, he has gotten a lot of backlash of how he created the werewolf. A lot of people think it looks like a bear. What were your thoughts as far as like when you actually get to see it at the end of the movie? What do you think? Do you think it looks? I think it kind of. I'm not gonna lie. I think they're all spot on. I think it really does kind of look like a bear, not a wolf.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely looks like a hybrid. I wouldn't say it's like the best wolf we've seen out of the werewolf movies we've done, but it's not the worst.
Yeah. Well, would you? I mean, clearly. I mean, do you prefer the a Werewolf in London, where like do you prefer that kind of like all walking on all fours, or do you like more of a standing upright werewolf?
Well, it'd be walking on all fours because no real werewolf, no wolf type creature would walk on two legs.
Well, that's that's the thing with werewolf movies. Sometimes it's the person chooses which kind of werewolf they're going to have. Like the werewolves in like Twilight are like wolves.
But I mean, I think because it's like, I mean, technically a werewolf's a mammal, so I mean, I don't know. I guess it just depends if you want a more animalistic one or a more humanized one.
Yeah, and I think, to be
honest, if you're talking about creatures, then I would say, I mean, if you think of a creature, then in like the horror realm, then yeah, two legs.
Well, that's the thing is like with this one, I understand.
I will say, I think it's more scary to think about something that looks like that coming to you on like two legs hunched over, like that is more like eerie and creepy than something running around on four legs at you. No,
I agree. Yeah, like that's where I was kind of going somewhere like that, but like I completely agree, because that's like that thing where it's like you don't think it's an animal because it's walking on all fours. I mean, sorry, it's not walking on all fours, so you don't think it's an animal. Only animals pretty much do that.
Yeah.
Except for like a bear, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But usually still, if a bear is going to chase you, it's not going to run upright at you.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing is like, it's so vivid throughout the book where they describe the creature is much like a man hand with hair and claws.
Nails, yeah.
Yeah, nails and stuff like that. Like it is very, it's very, like, let you know, like this is you can tell this is a humanoid person that is a creature.
Transforming, human.
Exactly. So like it's the fact that like that's the kind of wolf we got, which I have no problem with that because I do think that's creepy. But unfortunately, just the end result of it, like it does suck because the movie is really good. Like the movie has a lot of graphic kills, nothing super crazy gory. And there was some gorier stuff that was cut out, but it wasn't cut out because of ratings. It was just cut out because they chose to do something different, or the effect didn't work perfectly on screen, so they didn't use it. But this movie is really good, but at times I feel like it gets overshadowed because the fact that the werewolf design wasn't the best.
Well, yeah, because I mean, the werewolf's the whole entire focus of the movie.
Really?
Well, I mean, it's not the whole entire focus. The Silver Bullet and Brady is the focus.
Yeah, I mean...
It's 50-50. But, yeah, I mean, I can definitely see where it puts a damper on people's parade if the main scary creature is like, subpar.
And exactly, because you're building up to it through most of the film. And that thing is... that's the thing. Through most of the film, what we do see does look good, but it is when we get the final product at the very end, you're like,
Yeah, I will say the very final product, it's when you get that like full blown reveal and then the final transition where like the werewolf dies and then the pastor dies
Mhm.
or the preacher dies. Yeah, it would be nice if it was a little bit more of a detailed costume.
Yeah, it just sucks because Carl M. Baldy is like, he's a class. I mean, he is, a master class of creature effects. And it's kind of one of those things where like, they were just, when he was creating the creature, they were so disappointed in the way it looked.
Mhm.
But it was just like, well, we're filming this. There's nothing we can do. We have to use it and stuff. There's another part in the movie when we get to that scene. There was another thing where it's like, this is what you like. Once again, they were like, "This is what you made me. This is awful," but they didn't use it because of a certain actor came up with the idea on spot. It was like, "All right, well, let's do this," and so they rolled with that. And they cut that part from the film. But the book, the wolf in the book is amazing. And if you don't know who Bernie Wrightson is, I mean, you do know he is one of the co-creators of Swamp Thing. He did a lot of great work for DC and stuff like that back in the day. He is great with creature designs, with like adding this cartoonist look to a old retro feel, almost like hand painted to a certain degree. The illustrations in the book are fantastic. I will say, unfortunately, how the book reads, it sucks because some of the illustrations will show up on the next page. Like when you open the book, there's a page on the left and a page on the right. Sometimes the illustrations will show up on the page on the right, but what's revealed on the page on the right isn't till behind that page. So it's like, oh, well, now I know something because I saw the illustration before I got to read it.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that sucks with adding the illustrations. But it is cool to have because they are so like pretty cool. And I'll like throughout the movie, like the review, I'll put up some of the illustrations for the YouTube listeners and stuff like that. But yeah, like well, before we do our final thoughts, we're going to see, because since I read the book and Becca didn't, we're going to see how this matches up to what all the other Stephen King adaptations we've covered. But as far as like just surface level, how did you feel about this one after watching it? Well, your final stuff is going to be at the end, but let's just surface level. What do you think?
Are we loosening up the rules? I get to say this ahead of time now?
To a degree, because now at the end...
You come back from a break and now you get to share your opinion in advance.
Well, at the end...
He thinks I've gotten better at this.
Well, at the end is a different question. It's not, did you like it? It's a different question. So now I just want to, what was your surface level? What do you think about the movie? Because this was your first time seeing it, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was a good movie.
Yeah. I mean, what did you, I
got to tread lightly. I can't have this taken from me.
Well, what did you, as far as when it comes to the movie, like, how did you feel like the character development, stuff like that? Like, I thought
it was good. I like the quality and the shift of Jane and the little brother's Brady, right? That's not the friend that passes away.
Brady's the one that passes away.
Oh,
Marty.
I do like the character development between Janie and Marty's like relationship and being siblings. I think that's very heartfelt.
And it's accurate.
Yeah, and it's nice to not just be straight, all about the werewolf. There's also that side development going on.
Yeah, I think it's very accurate when it comes to like a portrayal of a brother and sister, because I will say the movie really opens up on their relationship. Unfortunately, that's not in the book, but it's fine. I mean, it's fine. The book's more straightforward and it's more like telling stories of the killing, and then as the story unfolds, you're like, oh, there's a little bit more to this because now we get introduced to Marty's character. But it's very different, like in the book. But like, I really like the development of because that is like, sometimes if you have an older sister, they just hate their little brother. They're annoying, and certain times you feel like, oh, you're the baby, you get what you want, but in the movie it's kind of like, well, you're crippled, you get what you want, and stuff like that. But it's hard for the first sibling not to feel that way when they feel like they're being treated different than when they were that age. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's very accurate. And I will say is when it comes to...
Well, it's very realistic.
Yeah, realistic. That's probably a better word than accurate. But when it comes to, these other things that take place in the movie and the overall feel of the movie, like I think you said quality earlier, the movie quality, as far as like this horror quality film, this is a really good, well-made movie. The acting's great. Gary Busey does a phenomenal job. Phenomenal job. The Corey who plays Marty, he is just, very well. I mean, he was a great child actor.
Yeah.
Like he is just, when he's on screen, you get it, you understand it. Like same thing with the two Coreys when they were in their prime, really when they were little before they turned into teenagers, they were cute kids on screen and they videotaped very well. So you really like Marty and stuff like that. And, the atmosphere of the film is really well done. I like the directing. It makes you feel like you are part of that little town. A lot of the part of the movie like really sits home with me because I grew up in a really small town and there's scenes of this film that really make me remember my small town that I grew up in. So I think they did a really good job on portraying that. But yeah, I mean, as far as like, the surface level of everything, this movie is a very good movie. The only thing is it does have some downfalls, but underneath those downfalls, you still get a good solid, film about family, which I think is really good.
Yeah, I agree.
So, do you have anything else you want to say before we read the back of the box?
No, we're good.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Becca, read the back of the box.
All right, so Stephen King's Silver Bullet. Something is killing off townsfolk in Tarker's Mill. Something mysterious, something ingenious, something remotely human. But the only person in town with the courage to stop this lurking menace is a 13-year-old boy confined to a wheelchair since birth. Adapted to the screen by suspense master Stephen King from his Cycle of the Werewolf novelette, this exhilarating thriller features astounding special effects by 3-time Oscar-winning Carlo Rambaldi. The end. I like that one. Short and sweet. Those are my preferred ones. Yeah, so for the opening scene, you have Jane who's narrating it. So it is like a narrated movie. Pretty much like fully through the movie, I feel like she narrates it, but not overly. Sometimes some movies are like overly narrated, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's just a little bit. It's just a little bit to kind of like there's a.
She just does touch points, relates to them.
Yeah, the different acts.
Yeah. So, and it is 1976 in Tarker's Mill, and you get them at this like speech type thing, and Marty's off playing, and you get these two parents that are super stressed out. And their daughter, and they pretty much send their daughter off to go wrangle her little brother, who is Marty. And then when she goes to wrangle Marty, he's with his best friend Brady, up to pretty much like no good, just being like two little boys entertaining themselves. And that reveals that Marty is disabled and in a wheelchair.
Yeah, we get these little playful banters back and forth basically between him and Marty. His friend Marty and Jane, and them kind of picking on her and stuff like that. And just that later, that's just that knowing your sibling kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Where a joke goes too far and, someone gets pissed off and stuff like that. And then once again, like kind of like we were saying earlier, like, he's the baby, he's in a wheelchair. He doesn't really have to, like, there's no consequences to his actions. And it's just kind of like, well, Jane, you're just being, you're just getting too flustered.
Well, the other thing is like, well, you're the older one, so you should just let it go.
Exactly. You should be old enough just know better that, it was an accident, but it's like, no, I still have right to get upset.
Yeah, so after we get the introduction of pretty much like the main family that will follow around, then we get the main kill, which you have your railroad worker, which is also a drunk, and it's two back-to-backs, essentially. They're kind of like simultaneous, where you get your railroad worker and the young woman that's taking the pills.
Yeah. So we get these like two kind of quick cut kills at the first. Very kind of okay. So the drunk railroad worker, that's in the book.
They're also like stalker style.
Yeah. So like the railroad worker in the book is mainly just a drunk. So they kind of married the two together, and he is our first major kill, which is really nice because You see him, there's something in the woods. He doesn't know what's going on. And then whoosh, you see his head get cut right off.
Yeah.
So this kill, unfortunately, so this kill was supposed to have this like more of a, there's supposed to be more of a lingering effect, a look on the body and the severed head. So what was going to happen was the arm basically was going to swipe the head off, and then the body. So you know those little those tension toys when you push them in, they collapse. They had set up a rig where a body was going to collapse once they pulled the levers after the head got severed. So you just see the head fly off and the body just drop. But unfortunately, it wouldn't drop. It just stood there, just gushing blood everywhere. So they had to recut the scene a little bit because the effect didn't actually work the way they wanted to. But we cut back to the next day where the body's found, and you see the severed head laying on the ground. And that's a really like intenseful, nasty scene because that severed head's pretty great. And then, you know, people are worried what's going on. People are kind of getting scared and stuff like that. What's going on within like the town. Cut to another kill of a lady basically upset with her, the man that she loves. And so she's just going to kill herself because she would rather die than not be with that person. And she swallows a bunch of pills, but before she kills herself, a werewolf comes in the window and attacks.
Yeah, and you get her mom grabbing the pistol and running upstairs to see her just like pretty much torn to shreds.
Yeah. This part's kind of in the book. It's more of a lady who she's not trying to really kill herself, but she's really in love with the person that doesn't want to be with her and stuff like that. And she's laying in bed at night, and then the window opens and she thinks she's fantasizing and she thinks it might be that person, but unfortunately it's a werewolf, and then he just murders her to death. So we kind of see where they're kind of like, okay, and what she said, like, I mean,
They're just twisting the kills and stuff.
Yeah, and Stephen King wrote this. So, like, he's like, okay, I know what I did. So let's make this work into a film and kind of like beef up the storyline.
Yeah. Now we move back to Janie and Marty's home, and they're being visited by their uncle, who is Gary Busey. And ultimately, he's kind of a drunk too, just like the railroad worker. But he clearly like really loves Marty and Janie. Like, he just seems like a very active uncle.
He's kind of a partier. That's the way I was kind of feeling.
Just irresponsible. Like, again, your irresponsible little brother, because their mother is Janie's, Janie and Marty's mom. So, and he also now brings over the what are they called? Not automated wheelchair, but the...
Oh, he does that later. He works.
Oh, I thought he had a different... Okay.
Yeah. No. Yeah. He does that. He does that later, though. Yeah. So this scene is mainly just like kind of like our introduction.
Yeah, it's a brief introduction, and you kind of get the sense that Janie and Marty's parents are kind of like... They seem to just tolerate Uncle Red.
They think he's a bad example because the way he's currently like living his life is not like the ideal, like someone you should look up to, because he looks up to him so much.
Yeah, because also he treats Marty like he's like a real person. He doesn't treat him like he's like this fragile, disabled child.
Exactly. And that's a big part of the book. The book really focuses on like, my parents treat me like I can't do anything, but I can do more than just sit in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And Gary Busey as Uncle Red, who does a phenomenal job. And apparently a lot of his scenes were improvised because he just kind of took the script and went with it. And they liked what he was doing. So like, yeah, keep doing more of that.
Yeah.
Cause Gary Busey, he's very lovable when he is on the screen. I know he's crazy now, but like back in the day, man, when he was acting, you watch because you never knew what he was going to do, but 9 times out of 10, he was going to be good. And it's just like, we get that banter of him and his sister fighting. Like, listen here, like, I understand you love him to death, but he admires you so much. The way you're acting, I understand you're going through a hard time. You can't show him that because you're showing him by example of what to do in life when he comes to that point, and you're not handling it in the right way, but you're making it.
You're not setting an example.
You're not setting examples. You're making it think that's not how you're supposed to act. You know what I mean? Which is really, it's really
valid.
Really good. It's valid. Yeah.
So now we get the third kill, which is the greenhouse kill. So it's this drunk father, and he's sitting drinking at home. and he hears something outside and goes to check on it. Your cliche, scary movie. And you get this like heavy, dense fog
Yeah.
outside. And he does make it to the greenhouse, which is where the werewolf kills him.
Yeah, this is a really nice kill. We get some blood, get some claw marks and stuff like that. He falls down, then gets dragged in and stuff. It's really, really cool. Like I said, the movie has good kills. They're not over the top gory, but they're still really good kills. And for a movie that is, I mean, there's a lot of kills in this movie. So
I will say they do like, it's like a checklist and they just run through them and just like knock them off.
Yeah, as for when it comes to a werewolf film movie, I mean, we get our kills. So you can't complain that you didn't get you didn't get any kills because you get it. I mean, like this movie has more kills than Werewolf in London. And I mean, and some of the slashers we've already reviewed. So I mean, I will say, like, as far as like, I have to give credit where credit's due. Like, you can't complain about that.
And then, unfortunately, and we all know my rule about children and murder, and Stephen King seems to always play against that. Rude. Anywho, with that being said, Marty's best friend Brady, Marty and him are playing outside, and it's time for Marty to go home. Brady is by himself in the park, and the werewolf gets him. Yeah,
it's one of those things where, like, so far at this point, there's thoughts of like, okay, these deaths are happening on each full moon.
The town is starting to panic and try to scramble to put things together to create a track record to see who's doing it or if it is really an animal.
Yeah. So the book does the month by month thing, which is really cool. Okay, that
you watch time go by as you're
but
how long it takes them.
In the movie, that's not a big part of it, which makes sense. Like I said, like at the beginning,
you get some seasonal changes if you pay attention to like the details in the background and stuff.
But that's like,
I get what you're saying. It's
with
not
it being the calendar thing and stuff like that. Like, it makes sense that he still kept that format in the book. But yeah, unfortunately, freaking his friends out there flying the kite. That happens in the book, and he's supposed to come home, but he's having too much fun because everyone knows people die at night when the moon shows up. So he needs to be in the house before it gets dark. And he doesn't do it. And he gets killed. And we get this great epic scene of where they find the body. Sheriff's there.
The dad shows up.
Yeah, Terry O'Quinn is the sheriff. And the dad shows up.
And they try to stop him from looking at it.
Yeah, it's so this was the scene where I was telling you, like, that they end up making something and they were so, like, they had a dummy, they had a body that was completely mutilated, which was going to be another gore factor. But they were like, this looks like a dummy. This doesn't look like a kid. You're going to film this? This looks awful. And they were like so freaking pissed off. And another thing is, like, they were losing daylight. And they're like, well, we don't have time to fix this. And the actor that plays Brady's dad was just like, how about we do this? Okay.
Just get my reaction.
Exactly. That's exactly what he said. He goes, look.
If it's intense enough, you can let your imagination run with it.
Oh,
and sometimes that's how you get the best scenes.
This is probably one of the best scenes in the film. His reaction to the mutilated body is so good.
Yeah.
Like, he just looks like a father that has just lost his son. It's, once again, this scene, if you didn't have this scene, you just saw the mutilated corpse. This scene is another scene that makes this movie, it adds a star to it. You know what I'm saying? Like this, I will say, this scene alone goes from it being a 3-star film to a 4-star film.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So now we get introduced to the Reverend, who is played by Everett McGill, and he is putting on a really intense sermon. And it's obviously a small town, so everyone's there, from the sheriffs to the townspeople, Brady's dad, and he is talking about sin. And this is also intense because everything going on, and now it went from adults being killed to now a child was killed. Yeah,
and he's kind of like doing the thing like, sin will find you, you can't let it in, kind of stuff. Yeah. Which I know, I like that. I like that play. I like adding the religious factor into the film with the kills. The girl trying to commit suicide, and the werewolf killing her before she could kill herself. I like that little touch. It's fun to play with religion and stuff like that when it comes to your horror films. That's not just like a exorcism. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or a cult.
Yeah, or a cult. Yeah, it's great. So it sucks because they're all there. They're mourning Brady's death.
Really, what I think he did is I feel like he just riled up the town, because then you get the bar scene where
pretty much
the town's just getting ready to just take it in their own hands, and the sheriff has to pretty much fight him off to just be like, stop, like, I'm on this. And the townspeople are like, no, we'll just do it. We'll figure it out ourselves. We're going on a manhunt.
Yeah, they go to the bar, they start freaking out, and everyone's like, you know what? We're going to get together. We're going to hunt this damn thing down. We're going to kill it ourselves. And the sheriff shows up. He's like, no. Y'all talking about vigilantism. That's illegal. You can't do that. And then Brady's dad walks in, and he's like, you want to sit there and talk to me and tell me things that I can and can't do? He sat there.
Well, we'll put it here.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's great. It's like, he's like, he goes, I just buried my son. Okay. Yeah. And what justice do I have? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he goes, so what I'm going to do out there, I'm going to get me some justice.
Yeah.
And that was like the final.
Civil justice.
Yeah, exactly. And so then the town friend goes out. And as I will say, this scene, unfortunately, has a little bit too much comedy in it when I don't feel like it's necessary. They add a lot of comic value when they're hunting down the werewolf in the woods. Mind you, they don't know it's a werewolf, but they know it's somewhere out there. It might be a monster, or it might be a beast or some animal. So they're hunting for it. This scene, I'm sorry, it gets a little campy, and it kind of takes me out of the film a little bit, where it is cool to see everyone get killed underneath the fog and stuff like that, but it sucks because like adding the little comedy.
Well, also the special effects weren't that great.
Yeah, like I
mean, for the times, they aligned with every other movie at that time.
The problem here is the main.
But you got the bat that says Peacemaker, and it's a lot of cheese going on there.
That's the problem. That's the problem. Like when you see them, they find them under the fog.
Playful.
Yeah, they find them under the fog. They start beating them with the bat, and then you see the werewolf hand come up and beat the guy with the bat and kill the bad guy. You only just see the arm. And I understand. Yeah. Some people were like, I like that scene because, it's
I don't think it was a bad scene. I just feel like, yes, I do agree. It got a little cheesy for.
It's very cheesy.
Yeah. It happens.
And that's the problem with this movie. It's so heartfelt. Like, and we just had this epic speech, and then you want to throw some cheesiness at me.
We had an epic speech and a really, really intense kill of like a child.
Yeah.
And now it's like, okay, and then more, which, I mean, I get maybe their goal was to lighten the load a little bit. They had a pretty intense, monumental thing happen in the movie. So maybe from like a director's standpoint, they wanted to free it up some.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. The joke
ease up on it a little.
The joke parts are funny. I'm not gonna lie, it is funny. I just wish like it wasn't.
It was the right thing.
Not the right
place.
Time. Yes, yeah, exactly.
Wrong time. So now Reverend is asleep, and we get a nightmare scene.
Well, we don't know he's asleep. That's the whole fun part.
Yes, yeah. You get a nightmare scene where he's putting in a sermon, and he's profusely sweating, putting on a sermon, not in a sermon. He's putting on a sermon, delivering a sermon, whatever. And he's like profusely sweating, and the crowd starts to get intense. And suddenly everyone starts to transition into these werewolves. Not gonna lie, in that moment, I'm like, bam, he's the werewolf.
And
then they just, everything else after that point further convinced me that he was the werewolf. Because I'm like, why would he have a dream about that? I mean, I do get that though. Like if you think about something scary enough, yeah, it can happen in your dreams. But I was like, he's a werewolf.
Well, I will say this scene's pretty cool too, because like I will say everyone who's turning into a wolf, the scenes and effects were pretty great here.
Now I will say these werewolves look like werewolves. They did not look like bears.
Yes, that's another thing is, so these aren't the main werewolf. Then we get the main werewolf and you're like, what the hell is this thing? Once again, it kind of.
I will say the werewolf at the end gives me like rabies and mange vibes.
Yeah, the way the fur is. Yeah, the way the fur is and stuff like that. Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah. But anyway, so it's the dream scene. Everyone is transitioning to wolves. You find out it's a dream scene because you snap back and Reverend's in his bed and he, jolts awake.
He wakes up, yeah. So now we cut to back at Marty's house. We get Uncle Red and Marty. He's still in town. Ever since he was visiting, he went to we saw him go to the funeral with Marty. He knows he's upset. He knows like he's mourning his best friend's death, and he's trying to do whatever he can to help lighten that load. So Uncle Red's been working on something for Marty, and this is the IP part of the film, the Silver Bullet. He's been working
yes,
on
the motorized wheelchair.
Yeah, it's like
It's a juiced up wheelchair.
It's like a 3-wheeled wheelchair, basically, kind of like a 3-wheeler kind of like thing, which
like
is
a little golf car, personal golf car, or go kart. Yeah,
or like the 3-wheel golf cart like y'all used to have. Just with a wheelchair attached to the top of it. It's pretty cool. But yeah, so we get this really cool scene where, he shows him he's been working on it. It's ready just to give him something to make him feel a little bit better. And, he takes it off for a ride. He's gassing up down the road. And another thing is like, he goes to Marty. He's like, listen, I'm already in the doghouse. If you wreck this thing, I'll never leave the doghouse. So do me a favor. Whatever you do, don't go crazy with this.
Yeah.
But also he's like, I want to let you know, I gotta go. And I'm gonna fast forward a little bit because we do get a little scene where they're going to go to the 4th of July parade thing, fair or whatever, and it's shut down because of the murders.
Mm-hmm.
So they end up coming home and he's upset. And Uncle Red's like, I'm leaving town. Yeah, and I know, they cancel 4th of July, but Uncle Red's got you something, so you don't have to worry.
And he gives him fireworks.
That's a big part of the book with the fireworks, because that leads to like probably the most well-known part of the film. Yeah.
So like you mentioned, Marty now has fireworks. So Marty sneaks out alone at night in his new motorized scooter or motorized wheelchair. And he is at the bridge, just enjoying himself. He's, laughing, shooting off the fireworks, just having a moment alone, having fun. And you get this stalker POV.
Yes.
And it's dense. The fog's denses everywhere. Up. And Marty doesn't notice at first. He doesn't notice the shift. He's still just like enjoying himself, shooting out the fireworks. And then he starts to pick up on like something's off. And now you get kind of like the werewolf comes around to the overpass, the little bridge, the wooden bridge. And Marty starts to freak out, doesn't know what to do. Because also the thing is, the motorized scooter is now gas powered.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know, at Marty's age, I probably didn't really know much about gas and how far I could get with or without it. You know what I mean? Like being low on gas. So he tries to start up the Silver Bullet, it doesn't start up. So he takes one of the fireworks and shoots him at the werewolf as the werewolf is coming onto the bridge. And you get this, eyeball scene where it gets the werewolf in the eyeball. And Marty takes off in the Silver Bullet.
Yeah, it's a great scene. This is another scene. Once again, you don't really see the whole werewolf, but you get enough. You know what I mean? And you've got this classic, like this. I mean, this is the most classic scene from the film.
It's like cat and mouse style chase, which we get another one later on.
Yeah. So, so Marty gets away, but now we know something. Marty now knows, okay, I found the thing that's killing people and it's a werewolf. And I also know it's missing an eye now.
Yeah.
I hit it, I heard it, and I know now all we got to do is find someone with a missing eye. It's a big part of the book because Marty tells everybody about that. And no one in their right mind wants to listen to him.
Besides Janie.
Yeah, I mean, even in the book, Janie didn't give a shit.
She discredits him, but she still keeps tabs on it.
I will say that's the one thing I like about the movie, because in the book, they don't really have a relationship. In the movie, they write in the relationship.
Yeah, it's pretty much the movie's halfway about the werewolf and half about Janie and Marty's relationship and how you should treat your siblings. In the end, the moral of the story type thing.
Which is great. And I'm glad that Stephen King added that to the adaptation of the movie. But so we realize werewolf's missing an eye. So the person who's werewolf must have some kind of eye.
Yeah, if it's a human, it's missing an eye.
We get these long scenes of like, he's like, listen, he talks to Janie. He's like, listen.
He's pretty much pleading with anyone.
Yeah, he's pleading with Janie. She's like, okay, I've got an idea. I'll collect cans for the church food drive, to donate the cans to get money for the church food drive or whatever. I'll go around town and I'll ask for cans, and that'll let me look at people and I can see anyone who's missing an eye. So how it happens in the book, which sucks because the fact that this is a book that goes from season, it's Halloween. And Marty's going trick-or-treating with his dad. And he's Yoda, and his dad's pushing around with a wheelchair. And he goes to Reverend Lowe, and he's got an eye patch. And
I
that's
would
when
like that in the movie.
That's when he finds out, oh shit.
Instead of the way, yeah.
But yeah, oh shit, it's Reverend Lowe. So Jane does this, goes all around town, can't find the person. All right, well, I got my cans. Let me drop them off at
she
the
goes
church.
to deliver them.
And who the hell is wearing an eye patch? Reverend
And then
Lowe.
on top of it, before she sees Reverend Lowe, she's digging through she's placing the cans down and sees the Peacemaker bat.
Which is broken.
In half,
and it's got like blood on it and stuff like that. So it's like, great tenseful scene here.
Yeah, so you get a little interaction between Reverend Lowe and Janie, and Janie ends up just taking off, just saying, she says she wasn't feeling well. Reverend Lowe invites her inside the church for a drink to, calm down and feel better. And she just takes off, says her mom's going to be, I think she says her mom's expecting her, and she just runs home to let Marty know. Marty has been working on writing letters to people that he suspects are the thing. And one of those people include Reverend Lowe. Yeah,
he writes letters to Reverend Lowe. That's another cool thing that happens in the book. Once Marty finds out that Reverend Lowe is the beast, he starts writing a letter once a month anonymously.
Yeah, letting him know that he knows that he's the werewolf.
Yes, and it's really cool because at some point he's just like, he writes and he's like, what's called, why don't you move to another town? And then another week or so later, he writes, he goes, well, why don't you just kill yourself? And he writes himself again. He's like, why haven't you killed yourself yet?
Yeah.
You want to say like, you are hurting people. And then you get the perspective of the Reverend Lowe in the book where he's just kind of like, like I said, he knows is completely anonymous. And the reaction to the final letter, I'll bring it up once we get to the end of in the movie. But he's just sitting there. He's like, he does that thing where kind of like in the movie where he's like, God gave me this.
Yeah.
I didn't ask for this. God gave me this. And he's like, I wasn't bit by a wolf. One day I just went to the cemetery, picked up some flowers, and all of a sudden that night I turned into a werewolf.
Yeah.
He goes, who am I?
Ultimately, I can't help what I was given.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so Reverend ends up confronting Marty. And
tries to run him over.
Yes. So you get this is the other cat and mouse chase that I referenced. And he is essentially trying to just kill Marty off because Marty knows about it. So if he gets rid of Marty, he thinks he's, his secret's safe. So he's chasing Marty down with the silver bullet. Marty is about to run out of gas. Like I mentioned earlier, as a kid, I probably wouldn't have thought about that. I wouldn't have thought 2 cents the fact that my wheelchair runs on gas.
No.
And he goes into this cover bridge near the farmers' land, and he's hiding within the covered bridge. And he sees that the farmer's out on his tractor, and he starts screaming to get his attention. And you get this scene where Lowe is like creeping around on the other side of the covered bridge, but I forget who exactly it was he was yelling to.
It's the one of the people from earlier. I think it was one in the barber shop or whatever.
Yeah.
He hears him. He's like, "Is that you, Marty?"
Yeah, and he goes over to him, and you get this takeoff scene where Reverend Lowe just immediately whips it around and just takes off.
Which this is great. After
kind of like stalking the covered bridge.
I love this. This small town. Everybody knows each other.
Yeah.
I love the atmosphere they have built here. It feels like you're in a small town. It's very well, don't get me wrong, this movie's not winning awards on writing, but I'm just saying it does it right to where it's believable.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, if this movies are, you escape and you want to go into that world, it's easier to stay in that world when you're watching the film when everything makes sense.
Yeah. So now Uncle Red is back and he plans on talking to the sheriff.
Because Marty's like, hey,
yeah,
please listen to me. He's like, listen, what I'll do. This is what I'll do.
Yeah,
I'll go
Uncle
talk to the
Red
sheriff.
takes it with a grain of salt, but he's like, okay, I'll at least do something about it. So he'll let someone know. So he goes to let the sheriff know. The sheriff goes to investigate.
And mainly the reason why that he does go is because he checks the silver bullet. And he's like, what color does yeah, okay, go ahead.
So because he hit the silver bullet and he knows the color of Reverend's car, there was paint on the silver bullet, the same color. Because the thing is, the silver bullet now is almost down for the count. He
it's beat up
pretty
pretty
much
bad. Yeah.
destroyed it.
Well, he hit the shit out of it in his car.
And so, well, there would obviously be paint on it if you hit something with your car. And whose paint is it? The same color as Reverend Lowe's car. So sheriff goes to go talk to Reverend Lowe and gets killed.
Yeah. Oh my God. This is a great. Okay. This scene is great. Like, here's the thing is I like movies. I like movies where when we don't need a lot of gore, but the use of blood and how we get the blood can really, it can
piece together the storyline.
Yes, it can. I don't need to see brain matter and head skulls busted open. But when he hits him in the head with the leftover peacemaker and you see that just squirt coming out the side of his head of the blood and stuff like that, like, and how it just splats when he hits him again, that's enough. We don't need to see limbs cutting off. We don't need to have his head cutting off. We don't need to see brain tissue and skull coming out. If we did get that, that's great and cool. But you can do a lot with just
you can
enough.
be tasteful with just
it's
a
very
little
tasteful.
bit. So there is a full moon coming, and now Uncle Red obviously believes Marty because the paint on the silver bullet. So he melts silver and goes to the local gun shop. And essentially, what do you kill a werewolf? Well, you kill him at night on a full moon with a silver bullet.
And it's kind of funny, too, because he goes in there, he goes, what? It's, okay, this is a really cool scene, because I do like this a lot, where when he goes into the gun shop, and Gary Busey, Uncle Red's like, he's really big into the Lone Ranger, and that's why I'm making him some silver bullets for a gift.
It's almost like they're speaking this hidden language.
But here's the thing, though. He goes, the gunsmith knows that what silver is used to kill in like mythical.
Yeah, and they know about the town has been accusing him of being a werewolf.
It's almost like the gunsmith's like he believes him. He thinks it's a werewolf.
Yeah,
and he's like, yeah, I'll make this for you because I also think that there's a werewolf out there.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool because in the book, when he gets the bullets made, he says he's a big fan of monsters. And the gunsmith goes, what are you killing? You killing a vampire or a werewolf? He goes, killing both. That's why I need two of them.
So now they load up the gun. They have the silver bullet, and now they're prepared to wait. And you also, now we move on to pretty much the final game plan, which Uncle Red coincidentally has a little trip that instead his sister and his brother-in-law can go on, which means Janie and Marty will be in his care, and they'll be together for the evening of the full moon.
And this is cool. In the book, this is New Year's night. Marty invites Uncle Red to come down for New Year's night. New Year's Eve. And and he shows up. And so he's going to stay up with them as everyone goes to bed. So it makes sense for him to be there and everybody else be asleep and stuff.
Yeah. So we get to Red's house. Are they at Red's house or are they at Marty's house?
No, they're at Marty's house.
So they're at Marty and Janie's house.
His parents are out of town.
Yeah. And you also get, as the parents are leaving, Red mentions to Janie and Marty about their relationship and like about being sister and brother and stuff like that. And I forget what exactly he said. But pretty much like they'll always have each other.
Yeah.
It's something along those lines. But anyway, so it's becoming night and they're all posted up in the living room. Gary Busey has the loaded silver bullet in his hand and they're all dozed off. And what wakes them up was it Red's cigarette?
The TV turns off.
Yeah, it turns off at midnight. So they play the national anthem or whatever they played at midnight. And then it turns off, which wakes him up. Gary Busey's like dead asleep with like a cigarette with ash as long as the cigarette itself.
Yeah, that was my Uncle Wendell when he would watch us.
Yeah,
fall asleep
it's crazy.
Smoking.
Yeah, it's crazy when you see people do that. And Red just calls it a night. He's ready to just call it a night. Nothing's happened. It's midnight. They've stayed up all night. It's time for all the kids to go to bed. Nothing's going to happen.
Yeah, he's kind of like, oh, listen here. I've done what you've asked and everything like that, but it is time to go to bed, okay? That's it. Okay, I did what you wanted. I got the bullets, whatever. There ain't no monster. There ain't no monster. And soon as he says this, you get a video, image of Janie looking out the window
behind him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you see, she sees the monster. She sees whatever it might be. She's like, oh, I see it. I see it. And he's like, no, you didn't. You're hallucinating and stuff like that. Stop it. Y'all are going to bed. And then all of a sudden, bam, the door just explodes open.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Brett's like, holy shit, there's a werewolf.
Yeah.
Great scene. Holy shit. It's a great scene.
So yeah, so the creature breaks in and Janie and Red are like taken off guard because although they believed Marty, I'm sure a part of them, Marty is a kid and they probably discredited him a little bit.
Yeah.
And so the werewolf's chasing them around the house, smashing things.
Oh, it's throwing Red across the room, beating the shit out of him.
Yeah, so gets the silver bullet gets knocked out of the gun, goes down into an event. The gun gets knocked out of Red's hand. And so ultimately Janie is able to grab the gun while, Uncle Red's getting beat up on. And Marty shoves his hand down in the vent to just barely reach the silver bullet.
Yeah, they're in the corner. They're cornered down, and the wolf is coming for them.
So they work together. Janie gives Marty the gun, and ultimately, Marty loads the revolver and shoots the werewolf. And then you get the full transformation.
In the other eye.
Yes, in the other eye. And you get the full transformation from werewolf back down to Reverend Lowe.
Yeah, and it's just, that's a pretty...
And then he has like the gored out eyes. And
yeah, that's this part right here. These are some pretty good special effects. I'll give you that. I like the special effects here. I think they did a really good job of, basically what they did was they added and then they just played it in reverse to make it look like, like it was him mutating backwards. So it was kind of cool. It's just standard effects. Like you put more on and then just play it backwards to make it like it's coming off.
Yeah.
And then it's one of those things where it's like, it's one like, I can't believe he was right. And that's a big part in the book, where he's sitting with him and Marty's talking to Red, like, listen. I understand this sounds crazy. Okay. And I know what I'm asking you to do is to help me kill this thing. But here's the thing is, Red, how would you feel coming here, staying with me? Because he lets Red know I sent my last letter. I sent 2 letters to the Reverend. The first one said, what's called, I know who you are. And it was signed Marty. So he wasn't anonymous. And he did this on purpose because he sent it to see if anything would happen.
Yeah.
Because he goes, I can't believe you did that. What's called, he goes, well, listen, Red, like I did that and I signed my name. But did he contact my mom and dad? Did anything happen after I sent that letter? Because I know he got it. Nothing happened, Red. So I know he knows he's the werewolf and he didn't do anything about it. So he knows.
Yeah, I will say since the book is written, I feel like there's a lot more conversation between Marty and Red compared to the movie. There is conversation between them in the movie, but it's kind of, there's not a whole lot.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot in the book, but this part right here is like really kind of cool because he was like, listen, so this is what is going to happen. We know there's going to be a full moon on New Year's Eve, okay? You come over, you stay with me, okay? Bring the silver bullets, and if nothing happens, nothing happens.
Yeah, no harm, no foul.
But
either something's going to happen and we kill the werewolf, or nothing's going to happen and nobody gets hurt.
Exactly. But if you don't come and the werewolf does come, you'll see in the paper that your nephew was brutally mutilated by a creature that night that I asked you to come down and visit me. That's really well written. That's a good conversation.
Yeah.
It would have been nice to have in the movie. But I mean, what we get was great. And then,
Yeah, you get a very loving ending scene where, Janie, Red embraces Janie, Janie embraces Marty, to let everybody know everything's okay. And Janie narrates how, pretty much everything, went back to normal, that it was Reverend Lowe. And yeah, you just get a really like loving moment between, brother and sister.
Yeah. And the ending that we get here is great. Now that the movie's over, I'm going to just go straight into my thoughts and then we'll see what you want to say. But like, I won't go in so much detail because I already said it at the beginning. movie's great story. This is one of those movies that I will believe the older you are when you watch it, the more you will appreciate it.
Yeah.
The younger you are, you're not going to really like it as much because it's not that just straight up like one of these like great gruesome horror films.
Yeah, I do agree. If you're younger, I think a lot of things are just going to go over your head.
Yeah, you're not going to the levity
The
of
content.
the levity and the content of the scenes won't reminisce with you as much because you're just not as mature. You're just not mature enough for it to take place. Or to sink in.
Yeah.
But as an adult rewatching this film, it is great. It's Corey Haim does such a great job. He's just such a cute little kid. Gary Busey is awesome. He's that lovable uncle that just keeps on making the wrong decisions, but he, at the end of the day, he loves you.
Yeah.
The town folk going crazy, actually wanting to get some kind of vengeance when they don't feel vengeance is being done. It's all just it meshes so well together. It's a great Stephen King adaptation, I think, in my personal opinion. Is it better than the book? I will say the book has some scenes in it that are really cool that we didn't get. But at the end of the day, I think the movie is better than the book because you actually get a full fleshed out storyline. You get some stuff that you didn't get. You are missing certain things. But you don't get that. You really don't get that loving relationship between Red and Jane in the book. It really gets fleshed out in the movie. And I think that's what makes this movie better than the book.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so since I didn't read the book, so out of the Stephen King content that we've talked about previously, which you all should go check it out.
We have a whole playlist. Look at the playlist in the videos. We have a whole
We'll
playlist.
link it in the caption here.
Yeah.
But so I will say it's not the best out of the Stephen King movies that we reviewed, but it's not bad. It's definitely rewatchable, and it's I do really enjoy the sibling storyline there.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't Carrie, this isn't Firestarter.
But that's nice. That's nice that it's different.
Yeah, I agree.
It's different for being Stephen King. So it is still a very good movie. I like the content of it. I like the change in storyline compared to the other content that we've done with Stephen King.
Yeah, and I like him writing just good fashion monster movie. I think that's great. It's not supernatural. It's just a monster movie.
It also didn't go like overkill. It wasn't overly, because sometimes Stephen King stuff can be pretty
disturbing.
Yeah, disturbing and things like that. It did not even scratch the surface of that.
No, and it wasn't, and it's not supposed to, which is a good thing.
I think it's a good entry into Stephen King.
I agree.
Because some of his stuff can get pretty heavy, so I wouldn't thrust anyone into certain things as an entry or like a beginner Stephen King interest. This is a good entry level into Stephen King and this type of content that he puts out.
Yeah, I will say with
but
that,
it's very mild compared to what else.
Yeah, I feel like that's up there with, like, this movie's up there with Cat's Eye, Carrie.
Yes.
Like I said, we said Firestarter earlier. Those are some really good entry level.
Yeah,
Stephen
it's almost
King
like
films.
a pepper scale, like a heat scale for a hot sauce. We're at the mild here, but it can get ghost pepper with Stephen King.
Yeah. Oh my God. I mean, that one scene. If we're talking about the film adaptations and stuff like that, one scene from Dr. Sleep is it is really hard to watch when you actually get to see the child be brutally murdered.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's where I stand with this with Silver Bullet.
Good. Yeah. Okay, cool. I thought you would liked it, and I thought it would be up there on your. Clearly, I'm sure you like this more than Graveyard Shift and stuff like that. And
yeah, I mean, Cat's Eye takes the cake, but I also love Drew Barrymore.
Yeah. Cat's Eye is just so good. It's especially the general storyline is just, that's perfect. That's amazing. And I think Carlo Rambaldi, if I can remember, I think Carlo Rambaldi did the troll and the general, if I can remember correctly. So it sucked because he made something so freaking cool just to turn around and make this werewolf that you were expecting great things for it to be like, that's what you made? Yeah,
but then he made a whole crowd of werewolves that looked phenomenal. So who knows? But yes, that's where I stand. And yeah. Did you have any last touching points that you wanted to share?
No, like I said, if you haven't seen it, watch it. If you like Stephen King reviews, please go to our playlist. We got great tons of stuff on there, and we're going to be adding more as the year goes by, because I love doing these deep dives into the book and the movies. If you haven't read the book, read the book. It's pretty easy to read, just for the illustrations alone by Bertie Wrightson. I mean, they're just phenomenal and beautiful. We got some more Stephen King stuff coming in the future this year. So, like I said, go ahead and start, going through the backlog and get caught up so you can get ready for the new ones and stuff like that. But yeah, great movie, great book, everything in it. It's perfect.
Yeah, I feel you.
All right, that is it for today's episode. Silver Bullet, directed by Daniel Adias. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out with us. And if you like this episode, please like, share, subscribe. Let us know in the comments what you think. And maybe drop a little hint on what movie you think we should cover from Stephen King's catalog in the future.
And be sure to follow us on our social medias like Instagram, Spotify, and YouTube. You can check those out at videovillaentertainment.com for extras and more content. And we'll be back with more reviews. So until next time, I'm Becca.
And I'm Logan.
And thank you for renting from the Villa.